Hello. The whole very basic Bible thing. I got my mic pointed the right way. Found out if it's pointed the wrong way. Face is all pixelated and stuff, but that's okay because I'm gonna hit share screen. Okay. I was gonna look up some stuff from earlier. I did a Bible study along and I talked about a few items. I was gonna look up something, then go back to biblical law. Let's look real quick. We're going to look up, look at that, ingathering, first fruits, ingathering. Going to look up stuff about the feast of ingathering, the feast of the first fruits. Here it is. What are the three feasts? Sukkot, that's one of the feasts. What are the three major feasts of Israel? Go over here, Bible Gateway. So, before we get back to looking at a little more biblical law, maybe we'll just look at the feasts. Let's see. Let's try it. Old Testament feasts, okay? In gathering. No, first. Exodus. Yeah, maybe we'll just look at the feast. Okay. Exodus 23. Various laws. The Sabbath in the land. 3 national feasts. Okay, I was right. Look at that. Okay, 3 national feasts. Let's look at those feasts. In case anybody wants to see my little smile and okay, sorry. All right. Okay. 3 times a year you shall celebrate a feast to me. You shall keep the feast of unleavened bread. For 7 days you are to eat unleavened bread, as I commanded you, at the appointed time in the month of Abib. For in that month you came out of Egypt. And no one is to appear before me empty-handed. So, I'm going to keep the feast of unleavened bread. 7 days, just eat unleavened bread as I commanded you at the appointed time in the month of Abib. For in that month you came out of Egypt. Moses brought them out of Egypt in the month of Abib. Let's go search. In fact, we'll keep this here. Bible Gateway. We might open the parallel Bible one, but for now. Abib. Suggested results. Observe the month and observe the month of Abib and celebrate the Passover to the Lord your God. For in the month of Abib, the Lord your God brought you out of Egypt by night. Deuteronomy. Deutero means second. Nomo, even though it's onomy, but N-O-M-O means law. This is Greek. When they did the Old Testament, the Hebrews would call the book by the first name, the first word of the book. That's what they called it. The Greeks, they kind of changed it up whenever they translated it into the Greek. So they translate Old Testament from Hebrew to Greek. They change it up. They're like second law because Moses is repeating the law all over again to them. So Deuteronomy, okay. And then in English, Deuteronomy. It's weird how language works. Okay, so that's why we got that. So this is the second time they're talking about it. Passover, weeks, and booths. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Bible search results. Exodus 13:4. On this day, let's read. Then the Lord's, okay, Control F. You see at the bottom here. Okay. Going to type in Abib. Oh, right here. 13:4. Only one of one. You can't see it, but one, it's very small, at least one of one. Okay. And Moses said to the people, remember this day in which you departed from Egypt, okay, from the house of slavery, yep, or slaves. For by a strength of hand, the powerful hand, the Lord brought you out from this place. The Lord brought you out from Egypt. You remember the whole 10 plagues thing? You've seen the movies, or you've seen plays, you've heard the story. You know, Moses goes to Egypt. Pharaoh's like, Moses, let my people go. Pharaoh's like, no way, buddy. I was gonna say no way, Jose, but what's Hebrew for no way, Jose? That's silly. Anyway, no way, I ain't letting your people go. Then there's a plague, and there's another plague. There's another plague. Pharaoh's like, okay, you can go, but not all of you. So then there's more plagues. Then Pharaoh's like, okay, you can go. Then he changes his mind. So there's more plagues, and finally Pharaoh's like, whatever, you can go. In that month, the month of Abib, on this day in the month of Abib, you are to go out from here. Okay, because remember, you shall keep the feast of unleavened bread. For 7 days you would eat unleavened bread as I command you at the appointed time in the month of Abib, for in that month he came out of Egypt. Okay. So this is the feast of unleavened bread, or they call it Passover. You'll hear some people call it Pascha. One second. Passover. Paintings. Pancakes, passage, party. Pasta. Kosher Passover pasta. Pascha? Paschal. Maybe that's it. Relating to Easter, relating to the Jewish Passover, because Jesus was crucified on the Passover. We call it Easter because of Easter, Istar, or something is some German word that then came into English. I'm not sure, but Paschal mystery. Okay, Paschal candle. Yeah, okay. Some people say Pashka, I think, or Pasha. Anyway. Okay. So the month of Abib, they came out. Remember this day in which you depart Egypt. Okay, powerful hand. On this day in the month of Abib, you're to go out from here. It shall be when the Lord brings you to the land of the Canaanite, the Hittite, the Amorite, the Hivite, and the Jebusite, which he swore to your fathers to give you. He swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Moses is related to them. He's an Israelite. He swore to them, I'm going to give you the land. A land flowing with milk and honey. You shall perform this rite in this month. What's the rite? For 7 days you shall eat no unleavened bread. On the 7th day there shall be a feast to the Lord. Unleavened bread shall be eaten throughout the 7 days, nothing with yeast. Unleavened means no yeast. Unleavened means flat. Nothing with yeast shall be seen among you, nor shall any dough with yeast be seen among you in all your borders. You hear the hyperbole, no yeast anywhere, no yeast in all your borders, just get rid of all the yeast, and you shall tell your son on that day, saying, it is because the Lord did for me when I came out of Egypt. So you tell your son, there's no bread, there's no leaven. It is because of what the Lord did for me when I came out of Egypt. Okay. And it shall serve as a sign to you on your hand, and as a reminder on your forehead. That the law of the Lord may be with you in your mouth. The law. Okay. I guess, remember, we're talking about laws. God commands stuff right here. The Lord spoke to Moses saying, sanctify me. Okay. And Moses said to the people, remember this day, which you depart. Okay. So Moses is giving law. God says, sanctify me. Moses says, remember this day. Moses is telling them what God told Moses. God said, hey, Moses, do X, Y, and Z for the Passover, for unleavened bread. Moses then comes, says to the people. So it's law. Sign on your hand and remind of your forehead, I guess, to my knowledge, that means just your hand, you see it all the time. You work, you do stuff with your hand. Your forehead, you see everybody's forehead is right in front of your face. I think it's idiomatic. Well, just maybe we'll explore that later. Hand in your forehead. Okay. That the law of the Lord may be in your mouth. So it's in your mouth, because from your mouth comes good stuff or bad stuff. From your mouth comes the teaching. For with a powerful hand, the Lord brought you out of Egypt. Therefore, you shall keep this ordinance. There's another name for another word for law, ordinance, as is appointed for you from year to year. Okay, so all this stuff, God leads the people. Here's a little bit more about it. Okay, so here's one of the laws. But when is Abib? I told you that. Okay, where is it at? The 3 national feasts. Also, you shall keep the feast of harvest of first fruits, the feast of ingathering at the end of your year. So ingathering at the end of the year, feast of first fruits, I said that was at the beginning of the year. I think Passover is the beginning of the year and not the feast of harvest of the first fruits. But I believe they do harvest around that time. I believe the feast of unleavened bread, or Passover, as we call it, and the feast of harvest, AST, feast of harvest. I believe they're very close to each other. I believe sometimes let's see. Okay. Let's type in Bible Gateway. Abib. Let's do this again. Deuteronomy 16. Okay, 13, 14, 21, 23, 15. That's over here. 34, 18. Okay. So they're saying it again. Look at this. Look at this. I told you in the last video, they repeat the law. Here's Abib in the first fruits. Here's Abib in the first fruits. 16. Okay, down here. Abib in the first fruits. Goodness gracious. Okay, Ezekiel. He was like, at Tel Abib. That's a city. Okay. So no more Abib. That's it. In the New American Standard Bible, at least. Let's read this one. Control F. There's Abib. Backspace. Hit the B again. You shall keep the feast, the covenant renewed. Okay. Oh, yeah. 34. That's right. That's after the golden calf. Moses smashes the 10 commandments. The Lord says, cut out for yourself 2 stone tablets like the former ones. It's probably why they're repeating this stuff. Some reason they think we got to repeat it and write it on down all over again. Yeah, okay. Okay. Abib, for in the month of Abib you came. For in the month of Abib you came out of Egypt. You see, you shall keep the feast of unleavened bread. 7 days eat unleavened bread. Okay, Egypt. The firstborn from every womb belongs to me. So your firstborn child. And all your male livestock, the firstborn, even from your cattle. So the humans and the cattle, all the firstborn, you shall redeem with a lamb, the firstborn from a donkey. They don't want. So in other words, you use it. You give them a lamb instead of a donkey. And if you do not redeem it, you shall break the donkey's neck. Oh, you shall redeem all the firstborn sons. Okay, good. So all the firstborn humans you redeem with a lamb. Also, you redeem. It doesn't say with a lamb, but that's what I'm guessing. So no donkeys, but a lamb. None are to appear before me empty-handed. So don't go to God and be like, here's my firstborn son. Oh, but I'm going to keep him and I'm not going to give anything. No, don't appear before him empty-handed. Come on. Okay, you shall work 6. So we're still talking about Abib and the unleavened bread, but on the 7th day you shall rest. Even during plowing time and harvest time you shall rest. Okay, remember, the farmers. So now we've went from the feast of, just real quick. We've went from the feast of unleavened bread to the firstborn of every womb, which is kind of related to unleavened bread. Down to you shall work 6 days. It's like, what? Remember, the feast for 7 days you were to eat unleavened bread. So maybe work 6 days and then have a feast. But the feast of the Passover, the feast of unleavened bread, is once a year. This says work 6 days, but on the 7th day you shall rest, even during plowing time and harvest. So plowing, you're putting the grains and you're putting the veggies in the ground. Harvest, you're taking them out. You're not going to put them in and take them out at the same time, because when you put them in, they grow. You got to take them out. You can't go put them in and take them out. I guess you could take them out and put them right back in, but they generally follow the cycle of the year. It's really cold winter. You don't do any plowing or harvesting. You try to do all that in the spring and in the fall. The summer's a little too hot, So that's twice a year. So 6 days, on the seventh day you shall rest. That must be a separate commandment, like the 6 days, and then you rest on the seventh. That must not be related to Abib. So we're getting away from unleavened bread in the month of Abib. But here's the next festival. Why is this all mixed up and congealed and conglomerated? I don't know. But hey, that's our Bible for us. And you shall celebrate the Feast of Weeks. That is the first fruits of the wheat harvest, and the Feast of Ingathering at the turn of the year. 3 times a year, all your males, okay, so the daughters don't necessarily have to, just dudes, are to appear before the Lord God, the God of Israel. Okay. For I will drive out nations from you and enlarge your borders, and no one will covet your land when you go up 3 times a year to appear before the Lord your God. Oh, I get it. I'll drive out the nations, so there won't be foreign nations. There won't be people who are against you. The nations are people who don't like the Israelites generally. I will drive them out from among you. Okay, so no nations, no bad guys. I will enlarge your borders. Okay, so it'll be really big. It won't be small. It'll be lots of land for you. No one will covet your land when you go up. So, hey, you're really far away from the temple. You need to go up, but hey, I'm going to leave my land here, and the bad guys, don't worry. You leave your land. The bad guys are going to come. Nope. He's going to get rid of all the nations. He's going to make the borders so big they can't hey, it's just right over there, run over there and grab your stuff. God's saying, hey, don't worry. And besides, remember, it says all your males. Wait, what about the women? Well, some women are pretty hefty, husky, pretty fighting. But hey, if we're worried about the women, don't worry. God has driven out the nations and enlarged the borders. All we got to do is worry about the Israelites. If the Israelites will stay faithful to God, I mean, I'd say how easy can it be, but it's easy to be unfaithful. Okay, hence Jesus' death on the cross. Okay. You might have just heard my wife walk by. That's okay. All right. Yeah, because I like my wife. She's a good wife. She's my favorite wife. I only have one. Never been divorced or never been widowed. So she's obviously my favorite wife. Okay. I will drive out nations. Okay. But then you shall not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leavened bread, nor sacrifice the feast of Passover, nor is the sacrifice of the feast of Passover to be left until morning. So they're still kind of talking about the covenant renewed, but they're still kind of talking about the feast here. Okay. You shall bring the very first fruits of your soil into the house of the Lord. They're the first fruits. The first fruits, you bring them to the Lord. If you don't keep them, it shows your faith. It's like God's testing them. That's my guess. The first fruits. You shall not boil a young goat in its mother's milk. That we've talked about that. That's often that's like the poster child. That's like the prime example. People were like, what's some laws in the Old Testament? Here's a good one. Don't boil a goat in its mother's milk. What? Yeah. Then the Lord said to Moses, write down these words, for in accordance with these words, I have made a covenant with you and Israel. Okay. So he was there with the Lord for 40 days and 40 nights. He did not eat and drink. He wrote down on tablets of the covenant, the 10 Commandments. Was that before he smashed them, or was that this time? I guess he could have stayed up there 40 days, come down, smashed them, eaten the Lord, then gone back up there for 40 days. No bread. No, I guess he could have done that. So I'll tell you a secret. Okay, don't tell my super kind of legalistic, the Bible is literal. Every if it says it, it's no idioms, no symbolism. Well, you're taking it spiritual. No, don't tell my friends. I think 40 days and 40 nights. This is just between us. I think it's an idiom for a long time. I think it is. 40 days and 40 nights, that comes up a lot. Not necessarily the number 40, because they wandered around the wilderness for 40 years. But then it says something like on the 38th year, Moses did something. Then for the 39th year, and then Joshua, who takes them into the promised land. Moses is gone. Joshua takes them in. Then they go in. They say, yeah, it's the 40th year. Then they go in. So that's clearly, 40 years. But 40 days and 40 nights, it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. Elijah did something ran to the mountain of God, I believe. It took him 40 days and 40 nights to run there, to get there. Maybe it took him that long. Moses goes up and down several times, 40 days and 40 nights. Jesus was in the wilderness 40 days and 40 nights. And then he was hungry. I'm not saying it's impossible for someone to go without food and water for 40 days and 40 nights. I'm not saying God couldn't. It could have been exactly 40 days and 40 nights and they physically survived. Or God could have miraculously sustained them. Just the repetition of it, specifically at times of great trial or fasting, a flood, great trial. Elijah's running to the mountain of God. Moses is going up there to get laws of God, and he's fasting. Times great, like, oh my goodness, I think during times, I think it's an idiom. It's an idiom, possibly. That's my guess. If I got it wrong and I meet God, I think he'll forgive me. And if I'm right, he'll forgive you. There we go. Lots of forgiveness. God's got more forgiveness than your puppy dog has kisses after he hasn't seen you in a long time. So lots of okay. But we still haven't figured out when the month of Abib is. Okay. We just know that the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Let's go back. 3 national feasts, okay? 3 times a year. And Abib. Okay, you shall also keep the feast of harvest of first fruits from your labors from what you sow in the field. You shall keep the feast of harvest of the first fruits of your labors. What's the labors? The farmers, they're farming. What you sow in the field, they sow. They throw seed into the field. Okay. Also, the feast of ingathering at the end of the year, when you gather in the fruit. So here, the feast of harvest of the first fruits, then the feast of ingathering at the end of the year, when they gather in the rest of it. 3 times a year, all your males shall. It doesn't tell us when. I'm going to try. Okay, the disciples, the Israelites, they would know. They know exactly when the first fruits are and when the ingathering is. They know when the end of the year is. Moses didn't have to say he did have to tell them when to celebrate the Passover. Because he's like, hey guys, remember you came out of Egypt? That's when we celebrate. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Hey guys, let's celebrate the Feast of Harvest at the harvest. They know when the harvest is, Let's try this. Feast of Harvest. Search. Feast of Harvest. One second, guys. 40 days and 40 nights. 3 feasts. I think that's okay. Writing down some topics, typing them out. Okay. Also, 23:16. 23:16. There we go. Also, you shall keep the feast of harvest of the first. So, okay, we got 34. We already looked at 34, I believe. And you shall celebrate the Feast of Weeks. That is the first fruits of the wheat harvest. And the Feast of Ingathering at the turn of the year, the end of the year. So the Feast of Weeks is the one that's called the first fruits of the wheat harvest, or the Feast of Harvest of first fruits of your labor. So right here. Okay. And right here, that's the same, because you can see the first fruits of the wheat harvest, harvest of the first fruits of your labor from which you sow in the field. Okay, and then Feast of Ingathering at the end of the year, And the Feast of Ingathering at the turn of the year. Okay. Let's go see. We already looked. Oh, yeah, that's what we just looked at, 34. Let's look at, I recall a Bible verse. Beginning of year. 5 Bible results for, okay. Look at this. Exodus 12. This month shall be the beginning of months for you. It is to be the first month of the year for you. Okay. My thumb hurts. I want pop. Maybe that's for the better that I don't pop it. Okay. Time is it 10:39. Full chapter. Exodus 12:2. Now the Lord said to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt. So they're still in Egypt. They haven't left yet. Remember, we were looking at 13 and he was talking about, the Passover lamb. The Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread. They're the same. Passover is because the angel of death passed over the Israelite houses that had the blood on the doorpost. Passover. Oh no, I just opened another thing. The angel of death, passed over the blood on the doorpost. I'm sorry, guys. We'll keep going with the 3 feasts, though. This month shall be the beginning of months for you. Trying to find out when the 3 feasts are. It is to be the first month of the year for you. Okay, so we know that Abib is whenever the unleavened bread or the Passover is done. So we're trying to look for the Feast of Ingathering, the Feast of First Fruits, and the Feast of Ingathering. Feast of First Fruits is it at the beginning of the year? It's at the beginning of the harvest, at least. This month shall be the beginning of the month. Speak to all the congregation, saying, on the 10th of this month, they are each to take a lamb for themselves according to their household. A lamb. Okay, so that's the Feast of Passover. So it's talking about that. Look at that, Feast of Unleavened Bread. Now this day shall be a memorial to you, and you shall celebrate it as a feast of the Lord. Throughout your generations, you are to celebrate as a permanent ordinance. Okay. For 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread, but on the first day you shall remove dough with yeast from your houses. For whoever eats anything with yeast from the first until the 7th day, that person shall be cut off from Israel. Yikes. He's being serious about it. I'm sure there was forgiveness if somebody, they were like, dude, you purposely did not get rid of the, oh no, we found some yeast. No, it was an accident. We tried. Okay, if you tried hard enough, and then you go find a house, you purposely didn't do it. You cut them off. Does that mean like you sent them away? I'm not sure. What if he repents? There's lots of repenting going around. There's lots of forgiveness in the Old Testament too. On the first day, you shall have a holy assembly, and another holy assembly on the 7th day. No work shall be done. Let's see if we can keep in the first month on the 14th day of the month. I'm scanning with my eyes. You shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at evening. Okay, for 7 days there shall be no yeast. You shall not eat. Okay. Then Moses called, go take for yourself lambs. Okay. A memorial of redemption. Okay. When you enter the land which the Lord gives, he has promised. And when your children say to you, what does this rite mean? Do you remember that? You shall say, it is a Passover sacrifice to the Lord, because he passed over the houses of the sons of Israel when he struck the Egyptians, but spared our homes. That's the whole Passover, the angel is. Okay. Look at that. Now it came about midnight, the Lord struck all the firstborn. Okay. So we're pretty certain that Abib is the first month. Okay. But still hasn't told us when the Feast of Passover, the Feast of First Fruits and of Ingathering are. Okay. All right. Numbers 28:11. At the beginning of each of your months. Oh, okay. At the beginning of, so 12 times a year, I guess. They had 12 months. I believe they did. And from the beginning of the end of the year. Okay. The beginning of this is a lot of stuff that beginning of Ezekiel. Yeah. Let's try in gather. Did we already look at in gathering? You shall keep the feast of the harvest of the first fruits of your labor and the ingathering and the ingathering. So we've already seen those two, 23, 34. We've already seen those. So study. Okay, I'm going to try one more thing. Feast of first fruits. No, I'll try a few more things. Let's go. 23, 34. Exodus 23, Exodus 34. We keep looking at those two, but at Numbers 28, also on the day of the first fruits, when you present a new grain offering to the Lord in your Feast of Weeks. Okay. When did it say the Feast of Weeks was? Was that that was the first fruit, but not the ingathering. Okay. You shall celebrate the Feast of Weeks. That is the first fruits of the wheat harvest. Right here. Feast of Weeks. First fruits of, okay, in case anybody missed it. There we go. Also, so let's look at this. 28, 26. Laws for offerings. So it's repeating some of the same stuff for the feasts, because now it's giving us laws for offerings. And there are offerings on them in the first fruits, the feast of the first fruits, the Feast of Weeks. Now it was 28, 24, I think. Oh, hey. Yeah. In this way, you shall present daily for 7 days the food aroma. It shall be presented on 7. Okay. Also on this day, the first fruits. When you present a new grain offering to the Lord in your Feast of Weeks. So remember, we read that verse that said, take all your first fruits to the Lord, to the house of the Lord. All your males shall show up. But don't worry about leaving your house. Foreigners aren't going to come get it. God's going to help you there. You shall have a holy assembly. Okay. On the day of the first fruits, when you present a new grain offering to the Lord in your Feast of Weeks, you shall have a holy assembly. You shall do no laborious work, but you shall offer a burnt offering as a soothing aroma to the Lord, 2 rams, 7 male lambs, and the grain offering, flour, 3 tenths for 10 to be set to continual burnt offering. You shall present, man, lots of offerings, and it doesn't tell us. I'm guessing the next chapter won't tell us, but we'll go just in case. There are no chapter breaks in the original Hebrew, not at all. But the person or people who did make chapter breaks probably separated it at just the right point. Offerings of the 7th month. The seventh month. Now in the 7th month, on the first day, you shall have a holy assembly. You shall do no laborious work. It will be to you a day for blowing trumpets. You shall offer a burnt offering as a soothing aroma to the Lord. 1 bull, 1 ram, 7 male lambs, 1 man. Also the grain offering, fine flat. Golly. Besides the burnt offering and the new moon and his grain offering and the Ketera burnt offering and his grain offering and the drink offering, according to the ordinance for soothing aroma and offering before the Lord. Ordinance, that word again for law. Man, they just so many offerings to God. He's like, guys, you better be dependent on me. Don't worry. When you're walking around for a long time in the desert, you have a good amount of, time to harvest and such. We say desert, don't think just nothing but sand everywhere. The real word is wilderness. Let's go look real quick. Images. Wilderness. Oh, Bible. Wilderness. Bible, Judean wilderness. Let's see. There's a spot where you could have you some you could grow you some stuff. Not so much there and there. Oh, there's a little green tree at least. So you can tell it's not just nothing but that looks like an owl face. Not just nothing but sand, but there's other stuff. Actually, this does look like a lot of sand, doesn't it? I've seen other pictures where it looked more like this, or more with like you look in there really, like right here, you can see some plants, right here you can see some plant, right here some plants, so they could grow stuff out there. I mean, hey, if anybody could farm, it was people that lived in the middle of the desert They lived in Egypt where they had to learn how to farm big time. And then they leave Egypt and they start putting their farming skills to the test. But God left them manna. So, and actually, wait. Okay, guys, this just hit me. 1 second. So now you kind of know what the Judean wilderness looks like. Judean. So right here, there's Israel, Judean. Okay, I feel silly. I feel really silly. Okay. Where is it at? Control F. Males. One more. No, that's not it. 1 second. Bible Gateway. Large. Let's see if we can find that passage again about enlarge. God made large. Okay, right here. Exodus 34:24. 34. Exodus 34. Of course, it's Exodus 34:24. We're going to move you. No, we'll leave you there. Okay. Control F. Males. Okay. 3 times a year, all your males are to appear before the Lord your God. Okay. 4, I will drive out the nations from you and enlarge your borders. I will. They don't have a temple yet. 3 times a year, your males are to appear before the Lord your God, the God of Israel. They can appear before the tabernacle, but right now, just Moses appears before the tabernacle. Moses goes to the, just the priests go in the tabernacle, will be told in Leviticus. And Moses goes to the tent of meeting right now and talks to God. He's the only one. He's the only one. I will drive out the nations. No one will covet your land when you go up. So in the future, they're not doing it yet. They're not doing they're doing the feast. 40 years, they might start doing the feasts, but God's telling them what will happen when they get in the land. So, hey, talking about, your feast of ingathering and your feast of first fruits, and they're like, God, we're in the middle of the desert. We don't have any food. You have to give us manna. And they would follow the pillar of cloud by day, the pillar of smoke and fire by night. They'd follow that sucker around the desert. It said sometimes it would stay for like a day. Sometimes it would stay for like a week or a month. So, I mean, if they're somewhere for a day, if they're somewhere for like a day, what? One second. Oh, I think I know. If they're somewhere for like a day, they're not gonna. If they're somewhere for a month, even, they're not gonna get any any crops and stuff. They're not gonna be able to plow and they'd have to be there for years to do all this. Oh, here it is. And the Lord's going before them in a pillar of cloud by day to lead them on the way, and a pillar of fire by night. Okay. He did not take away the pillar of cloud. Okay, that's good. Throughout their journeys, the cloud the cloud of the Lord was on the tabernacle, and there was fire in it by day in the side of all the house. Okay. 1 second. You go before them. Your cloud stands over them. You go before them. So I went out at night. Then get direction. That's Nehemiah. Okay. So somewhere it says that sometimes the cloud would stay there for like a day, and then sometimes it would stay there for months. So obviously this isn't talking to them now. Now, maybe they tried to celebrate these feasts as much as they could. Probably not. They didn't have any first fruits to give to them, They did start sacrificing stuff. So once you get in the land, once you get established, God says, I'll drive all the nations out. He's not going to do that like in 1 week. I mean, it'll take a while, I think it says drive them out slowly in Joshua, because if I don't drive them out slowly, you drive them out all at once, then all of a sudden the land will be overwhelmed with with animals and with wild stuff, and then it's like the land will be unproductive. So God's gonna drive them out. So once he drives them out, once they have an official place, which is the temple in Jerusalem, once they have that, then they start celebrating these things. Why I'm talking about as if they're in the desert. Oh, they're able to farm in the desert. I'm so silly. Yeah. Okay. All right, we still haven't found out when the Feast of Ingathering, when we still haven't found out when the Feast of Ingathering and when the Feast of First Fruits is. Or I guess First Fruits then Ingathering. We know that Passover is at the beginning of the year. When's the beginning of the year? I said, I think it's in August. We're going to cheat because we can. We've been searching the Bible. There goes my clock, but we're going to cheat. Here we go. What time of year is the Feast of Trumpets, Tabernacles, Unleavened, Ingathering? I'm going to type in First Fruits. Okay. What day is the Feast of First Fruits? Is the Feast of First Fruits the same as Passover? Let's see what it says. Lehigh.edu. Lehigh is a university. Lehigh University. I think it's a Christian university. This week we are actually celebrating not one but two, but three distinct Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and the Day of First Fruits. So Passover is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. I mean, they're the same, you know. There's a Passover festival in the New Testament. They talk about so they could celebrate the Passover, and it was like a whole week, you know. So the Feast of Unleavened Bread, Passover, they're separate because Passover is one thing. Feast of Unleavened Bread is all week. You eat the Passover in one night when God passes over Egypt, but then the Feast of Unleavened Bread is okay. And the Day of First Fruits. Is it that close? Is a day of okay this week? So in 1 week, Passover, Unleavened Bread, and First Fruits. Now, like I say, Lehigh University, that is a Christian university, so it's not like they're like dumb people. What it does is Pentecost 50 days after First Fruits. Pentecost is in the New Testament, right? Wikipedia, okay. I mean, we'll look at Wikipedia probably. Ligonier Ministries. I am not Reformed. I'm not a Calvinist. They are. Okay, that's a certain theological belief. People are theologically reformed. They're Calvinists. I'm not that, but Ligonier Ministry is. But you know what else Ligonier Ministry is? Awesome. Got great stuff. You know, just like Reformed people could learn from websites that I might go to, you know, the narrowpath.com. Dude's not a Calvinist. The narrowpath.com, Steve Gregg, he's not Reformed, but Reformed people could easily go to the narrowpath.com and learn stuff. So here we go. Let's see. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, golly. 6 open tabs, 5 Pentecost. Okay, First Fruits and Pentecost. Oh, hey, Leviticus 23:9 through 22. We haven't seen Leviticus yet. You shall eat neither bread nor grain parched or fresh, nor grain parched or fresh until the same day till you have brought the offering. It is, that makes me want to go, you know, let's look. Oh. And the Lord your God spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the people of Israel, say to them, when you come into the land that I've given you and reap its harvest, you shall bring the sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the priest. Okay. So the feast of the first fruit, you shall bring the sheaf of the first fruit. That will be during the feast of first fruits. And he shall wave the sheaf before the Lord so you may be accepted. They would wave it And then they would take it in, and the priests and Levites would eat it. They got to eat something. The priests and Levites had no land. So you give them the stuff. They present it before God by waving it. I'm guessing they wave it. Sometimes it's called a heave offering. They heave it. They take the sheaf of first fruits, give it to the priest to wave it before God. Then the priests get to go chow down and eat it. So that's good. Because the priest needs some food, so God provides for him. Anyway, so that you may be accepted. On the day after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. And on the day when you wave the sheaf, you shall offer a male, year-old, blemished burnt offering to the Lord. Okay, that sounds like the feast of first fruits, right? I'm reading in my mind. You shall count 7 full weeks after the day after the Sabbath. So it talked about that Sabbath in the feast of the first fruits. You shall count 7 full weeks from the day after the Sabbath. 7 weeks, that's 49 days. From the day that you brought the sheaf of the wave offering, you shall count 50 days to the day after the seventh Sabbath. So you shall count 50 days to the after the seventh Sabbath. So that would be 99 or 100 days. Then you shall present a grain offering of new grain to the Lord. You shall bring from your dwelling places 2 loaves of bread to be waved, made of 2. So it's not the first fruits anymore. You've been able to make your bread. They shall bear fine flour. They shall be baked with leaven as first fruits to the Lord. So as first fruits to the Lord. So 7 weeks, and then 50 days, you do this. Why do they do so much stuff? Shall offer a meal, priest wave with them the bread of the first fruits. The bread we've already, maybe they took some of the first fruits back and made bread with it. That's a lot. Oh, hey. Maybe we'll go look at Leviticus 23, 9 through 22. Instead of reading it in little bitty font right there. Leviticus 9. Okay. Aaron offers sacrifices. Oh, that's not it. 23, 9 through 22. Leviticus 23. Okay. Laws of holy days. Okay, holy days. Speak to the sons of Israel and say, the Lord has appointed times which you shall proclaim as holy convocations. My appointed times are these. The Lord's appointed times. For 6 days, work may be done, but on the 7th day, the Sabbath, a complete rest, a holy convocation. You shall do no work. It is the Sabbath to the Lord. We know that. You work 6 days, you rest on the 7th day, and that's Sunday. No, that's Saturday and Sunday. These are the appointed times. So that's every week. That's every single week. These are the appointed times of the Lord, holy convocation, which you shall proclaim it in the first month, on the 14th day of the month, at twilight is the Lord's Passover. So remember, Abib is the first month, the Passover and the unleavened bread. Then on the 15th day of the same month, there's to be the feast of unleavened bread. Okay. The 14th day of the month is the Passover, and the 15th of the feast of unleavened bread. For 7 days, you shall eat unleavened bread. So the feast lasts a whole week. On the first day, you shall have a holy convocation, do no laborious work. So there might be work to do, but for 7 days, you shall present an offering by fire to the Lord. On the 7th day of the holy, you shall not do any laborious work. Okay. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the sons of Israel and say to them, when you enter the land, which I am going to give you, and gather its harvest, and then you shall bring in the sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the priest. You shall wave the sheaf. Now on the day when you wave the sheaf, on the day after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. So this is, when you're in the land, you shall bring the sheaf of first fruits. So we're still trying to figure out, when is the feast of first fruits? When is, I'm gonna scan real fast in my eyes, see if I can just find it. The 7th month of the first, on the 1st of the month, shall have a rest, a reminder by blowing trumpets. On exactly the 10th day of the 7th month is the Day of Atonement. Very important. On the 50th of the 7th month, 15th, is a Feast of Booths. So, man, the 7th month, they do a lot of stuff. The first day of the Holy Congregation, you shall do convocation. You shall do no laborious work. For 7 days, you shall prevent an offering by fire. On the 8th day, you shall have a Holy Convocation. Do any laborious work. Do not. These are the appointed times. So we didn't have the Feast of Ingathering. On exactly the 15th day of the 7th month, you shall celebrate the Feast of the Lord for 7 days. You shall rest on the 1st day and rest on the 8th day. That makes sense. You rest the 1st day, you do work, you rest on the 8th day. That's the 7th day, the 7-day Sabbath. Now on the 1st day, you shall take for yourself fully upon. Oh, this is talking about the Feast of Booths. This is to commemorate right here. Your generations know I had the sons of Israel live in booths when I brought them out from the land of Egypt. Okay, so they're gonna foliage of beautiful trees, palm branches, branches of trees with their thick branches and willows of the brook. You shall rejoice before the Lord your God for 7 days. So you shall celebrate as a feast of the Lord your God. It shall be a permanent statute. You shall live in booths for 7 days. Just like they kill the Passover lamb and then they have unleavened bread for 7 days to remember the Passover. You take foliage, beautiful leaf. This is the 7th month. Foliage of beautiful trees, palm branches. So you shall celebrate a feast for 7 days. You shall be a permanent. Oh, you shall live in booths for 7 days. All the nations shall live in booths. So your generations may know that I had the son of Israel live in booths. So that's to remember the 40 years of wilderness wandering. They were living in booths. Look, Nisan, March/April. So we tried to cheat up here. But then I left there going here to hope to find it. Footnotes are very helpful. But Tishri, September, October. When is Abib? I bet the footnotes. Control F. Abib. Okay, we're going to go down to the bottom. Doesn't tell us when Abib is. Come on. Okay. Exodus 13. Control F. Abib. There's no footnote. See the footnote there? See the footnote? No footnote. Slaves, they had a purity between your Passover. Why do they have a footnote there but not here? Oh, hey, the pillar of cloud and pillar of day by fire. Okay. Excuse me. We're gonna do this. Abib. I think I did that already, but let's see. Deuteronomy 16, okay. 13:4. Well, that's what we were just looking at. We need a footnote telling us when this month of Abib is going to be. I'm going to go. Oh, yeah, that's right. Ezekiel. Tel Abib. I'm going to go to this Deuteronomy 16. Let's see. Abib. There's no. Why do we have a footnote here? In the first month. Nisan, which is April or May. So Nisan, okay. I've heard Hussein is but that's S-C-U-N, I think, as a Jewish or Middle Eastern name. That's not just an A, I don't think. I'm not sure. Well, I'm just going to say Nisan. So Nisan, March or April. Trying to find out when Abib is. So the first month, the twilight is the Lord's Passover. Then on the 15th day of the same month is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Okay. So, Nisan. which is around April, May, which is spring. Wait, I thought first month was around August. I must have been wrong. Why do I say that? Why do I trust the footnotes here? These people are super duper scholars. They know what they're talking about. But it said Abib is the first month. And here it's saying the first month is. But I command you to appoint a time for you to eat in the month of Abib. For 7 days you are to eat unleavened bread. You shall keep the feast of unleavened bread, as I commanded you at the appointed time in the month of Abib. For 6 days you appointed time in the first month. On the 14th day, the Lord's Passover. Then on the 15th day of the same month, the feast of unleavened bread. The first month, Nisan. Something's up here. You got these footnotes wrong. Here, keep the feast of unleavened bread in the month of Abib. In the month of Abib. Okay. Here, the first month of the Passover. Then on the 15th day, there's a feast of unleavened bread. The first month, because the same month. So this month is supposedly Nisan. So this month then on the same month, there's a feast of unleavened bread. Over here, Abib. Shall keep the feast of unleavened bread as I command you to appoint time in the month of Abib. Let's see what this says. Not found. That's not found. As its name indicates, the Feast of First Fruits marked Thanksgiving to God for the fruit of harvest. Okay. This festival, Israelites offered the very first sheaf. Actually took place during the week of Passover. On the first day occurred, the Sabbath rest occurred, Pentecost occurred 50 days after that Sabbath. Marked the culmination of what started at the Feast of First Fruits. Okay. This is a lot. This is a lot. This is going to take me a while to unravel. I'm going to have to make some notes and such. Let's see if we can find somewhere else. Or review of the feast. Let's try and find a Jewish website. Shavuot is Jewish for, Feast of Weeks, okay. The 6th day of the Hebrew month of Sivan. It may fall. Shavuot in some Ashkenazi usage. Feast of Weeks. Feast of Weeks is the Feast of Booths, isn't it? Mark the wheat harvest of the land of Israel. In addition, Teach of the Day also marks the revelation of the oral Torah at the Mount Sinai. Man, Shavuot means weeks. This marks the counting. Its days directly linked to that of the Passover. Okay. Well, it's sometimes referred to as Pentecost in Greek, due to its timing after Passover, Pentecost. Okay. I think I'm going to go myself and study a little more instead of continuing on here. I think we've looked at it for a pretty good amount of time. It's getting to be pretty late at night, and I have to get up kind of early, and I got a busy day all day tomorrow. My wife's downstairs now. She'd probably be like, no, just ignore me. But now she's giving me a funny look because I said her name. Her name is Wife. Hey, Wife. Yeah. She just turned on the lights. Okay, guys. We're going to go ahead for tonight and call it quits. But I did make some notes here. Okay. Abib or Nisan Passover and unleavened bread are together. Okay. Footnote says Nisan. Exodus 13 says Abib. Footnote for Leviticus, I think it was. Okay. Leviticus 23, yeah. So, hey, we'll make these notes and we'll see what comes of them if I study some more on my own. All right, guys. We will talk to you later. I'm going to stop share. God, thank you for giving us a wonderful time of sharing. I hope this was helpful. I hope it was beneficial. Hope it teaches us how to study more, how we can study better, how we can look stuff up. Yes, help us remember that this is all for glorifying you. This might seem like, what's the point in all this? It's to find out the truth, you know. And if we can study this well, Lord, then we know we can study other stuff well for you. And may we pray, amen. Thank you, Lord. Love you much. Bye, guys.